Hi viewers, as we discussed last time about creative writing, we said that writing in a creative way makes it effective for the reader to see and imagine what the writer is doing. Oftenly, I have seen pieces of writing written by pupils who describe their major character or their character as always he. He, a person without a name, a person without a figure, a person without a face, a person without all the norms that go by or with the character. And for this reason, today we are going to look at one segment of making creative writing interesting, which is the character description. The character is actually the actor in your story. And what does this character have that you must put in your writing to make it clear? One, the character has a figure. The character has a figure. And what are some of the things that you should describe about the figure of your character? The character may be tall, short, lanky, stout, thin, frail, delicate, athletic, muscular, erect, bent, sturdy, deformed. You must describe the figure of the character. For instance, if you are writing about John, say John was a short boy, or John was a tall, lanky boy. John was a bent or a deformed, plump boy. All these go a long way to describing the character. And when you describe that character, when you tell us about the figure, we are able to see the character in our minds. And that is how, or that's the secret of making your writing very, very interesting. The character has a face and a head. And what are some of the words that you should use to describe the head of your character? You can say it was round, round-faced, an oval, a long, small, square-jawed, thin, fat, flat, wrinkled. All these are words or adjectives that can be used to describe the face of your character. So when you describe the character's face, we see the character clear. We see the character with a lot of clarity, making our writing very interesting. The character also has a forehead, and you can describe it as narrow, flat, bulging, receding, wrinkled, wide, prominent, high. All these will be able to make you describe your character. The nose can be long, flat, bulging, snub, straight, broad, bulbous, aquiline, etc. So it is not good just to talk about a character and just say he or John and that's it. John has got very many other adjectives that can be used to describe him. The hair, is it long, straight, wavy, curly, unkempt, coarse, fine, silver, long, silky, painted? All this, you will be cutting a clear line of your character. The eyes. Some people have clear eyes, others have bright eyes, large eyes, small, brown, merry, watery, red. All these can describe the eyes of the character. The skin. All of us do not have the same tone of the skin. So there are people with pale skin, tanned, dusky, fair, sunburned, rough, smooth, pimply, blotchy. All these also can be used as adjectives to describe the skin. The mouth, the lips and the teeth. Do all of us not have the same form of our lips. Like mine are not just like yours. Mine are big, as you can see. There are some people with thin lips. There are some people with stained, bad, decayed teeth, irregular, projecting, uneven, well brushed, thick. There are people who have got white teeth. There are people with brown teeth, coffee berry teeth. All these should come or should assist you as a writer to describe your character. Then there's a personality. Your character should have a personality. You see, humble, kind-hearted, proud, haughty, vain, greedy, selfish, etc. Cheerful, miserable, gloomy, affectionate, honest, charming, mean, loyal, generous, adorable, etc., etc. We should know what type of character, what type of person you are writing about. Then we come to the clothing. The clothing or the attire. This one varies according to the scene you want to place the character. And as we are going to do much later, I will show you how the type of clothing defines your character in a different scene. So I'm going back to this, and it will be our last part. Then you can talk about the habits. Every character have their habits. For example, there are people who like chewing. There are people who like who are always yawning. There are people who have a habit of maybe shaking or blinking. These are types of habits. There are people who like whistling. Even when they are alone, you find them whistling. There are people with the habit of murmuring, even when they are alone. There are people who have the habit of wringing their hands. That is a habit. So if your character has a habit, please bring it out so that the reader can see it. Then there is the voice. How is the voice of character? There are people who have low voice. There are people who with a high-pitched voice. There are people who speak quickly. There are people who have a sweet voice. People who are shrill, hoarse, deep, harsh, rasping, tenor, bass, melodious, husky, and all that. So, in essence, what we are trying to say is that when you describe your character, using the simple points that I have told you here, you are able to draw in the reader's mind what type of person you are writing about. Now I want us to look at the character. For example, going back to this one, and if you are taught to describe, for example, a pastor or a priest at the airport, what are some of the things that you should bring about? For example, how is his hair? How does the hair of a pastor look like? It is kempt, well kempt hair, short, well trimmed. Yeah? How is his attire? You are not obviously not going to put a priest going in an airport in tatters. So you'll say he had what type of a suit? A black suit, a grey suit, an expensive suit, and what was around his neck? A large crucifix. So this Ligaria points out to show us actually what type of character that person is. What can you say he is carrying in his right hand? He is carrying, obviously if he's a priest, maybe you can say a Bible, and his right hand maybe carrying a briefcase. The shoes, how are they? They must be well polished, because you know our pastors or our priests are well polished. If you are to, for example, to describe a CS at the airport, you're not going to put a crucifix on a PS chest, but instead you put a well or an expensive imported tie. In his right hand, you'll put a golden wristwatch. In his right hand, carrying an expensive briefcase. How are his shoes? They are expensive imported shoes. What about a policeman? You'll talk about the cap. You'll talk about the gun slung across his shoulders or over his shoulders. You can put at the back here, you can make him have the handcuffs. And what about a black leather belt? That is to do with a policeman. What about if you are to describe a street child? A street child beside a dumping site. So how is hair? You describe as shaggy and unkempt. What about the shirt he's putting on? You cannot actually put a street child beside a dumping site wearing a suit. So you'll say a tattered, worn out shirt. What is his mouth? Or what is his right hand? You cannot put a Bible, but you say he's had a can of glue. A can of glue. And what is carrying in the right hand? A gnawed paper bag in his right hand. And what about his back? Holding the right hand holding a sack, a dirty sack, which is hung on his shoulders. I think this one brings clarity that is how we should describe a character, and once you do that, you'll have no problem in writing enough words as stipulated in our examinations. I want you to do this for me. I want you to describe a patient in an outpatient queue. A patient, a sick person who has gone to an outpatient health center and is seated in a queue. How are you going to clothe him? How are you going to describe his hair? How are you going to describe his eyes? How are you going to describe his posture? How are you going to describe his figure? Please write that one down. Stay safe. God bless you.